it's hard for us now to put ourselves back into the world of the early 1960s, but that was a world where it was just extremely unusual for a white corporate leader or white public official to know personally blacks who were well-educated professionals who they could regard as peers. He led the way in making that happen. He was, first of all, totally charming. They loved him because he was a good storyteller. He'd really enjoy having a drink with them. He was essentially the life of the party. But he was also really tough, and he would take the opportunity, as one of them put it, he would get your back up against the wall, and he'd be essentially in your face, wagging his finger at you, telling you that you needed to invest in opportunities for blacks, and if you didn't, the militants would be after you, and you were convinced. First of all, he got trained as a social worker, and I think that his professional training as a social worker was key to his ability to play the kind of role that he played. Those skills of putting himself in someone else's place, being able to understand where someone from a different world was coming from, being able to figure out how to communicate across apparent barriers and differences, I think stood him in extraordinarily good stead. He knew that if King mobilized demonstrators and got more ink in the newspapers, that would have a payoff for what King was trying to do, and it was hard for him to get a similar payoff for the Urban League, because what he was doing was quiet and often but behind the scenes. Figuring out how to keep everybody together and reach agreement was really tough to do. Bayard Rustin says that it was Whitney Young who brokered the understanding that Rustin could actually organize the march. There was a lot of objection to Rustin because he was a socialist, because he was gay. Behind the scenes, at least as Rustin tells it, it was Whitney Young who got all of the leaders from the various sides of the protests to agree that A. Philip Randolph would be the titular head of the march, but that he had the right to name his deputy, and that would be Bayard Rustin. Yeah, I think he thought that it would be possible to make more progress than he had been able to realize. The liberal establishment got diverted by the war in Vietnam. The continuing commitment to investment in racial progress was just hard to sustain. I think he got tired. I think he got a little frustrated. I think he thought he had probably done as much as he could, but I think he was beginning to cast about for what his next role would